The entire galaxy thought humanity was a joke. They weren't wrong, but they forgot one crucial thing. Sometimes, the joke is the most dangerous weapon of all. You want me to do what now? Max's eyebrows shot up so high they threatened to escape his forehead entirely. He couldn't help but let out a snort of laughter, which quickly devolved into a full-blown chortle, the alien dignitary standing before him. A tall, willowy creature with iridescent skin and far too many eyes for Max's comfort, shifted uneasily. Its name was something unpronounceable. Max had settled on calling it Glint in his head. "I fail to see the humor in this situation, Max," Glint said, its voice a melodious trill that somehow managed to convey both confusion and mild offense. "The Galactic Council has decreed that your species must prove its worth before being granted full membership. The gladiatorial arena is a time-honored tradition for—" Max held up a hand, still chuckling. Hold up. Let me get this straight. You want me, a random human who just happened to be in the right place at the wrong time, to fight in some alien gladiator pit to prove that humans aren't complete pushovers?" Glint's many eyes blinked in rapid succession. "That is a rather crude simplification, but essentially correct." "Well, shit," Max said, grinning from ear to ear. "Why didn't you just say so? I'm always up for a bit of fun. When do we start?" The alien's iridescent skin rippled in what Max assumed was the extraterrestrial equivalent of a face palm. "Max, I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation. This is not some trivial sporting event. The arena is a place of, yeah, honor and glory, and all that jazz," Max interrupted, waving his hand dismissively. "Look, Glint. My name is not Glint," the alien interjected, sounding mildly exasperated. Max ignored the correction. "I get it. You guys think we humans are soft because we come from a death world or whatever. But trust me, this'll be a cakewalk. Hell, I'll even do it blindfolded if you want. Spice things up a bit, you know." Glint's skin turned a deep, worried purple. "I must strongly advise against such recklessness. The arena is no place for—" But Max was already heading for the door, a spring in his step and a whistle on his lips. "Come on, Glint. Time's a-wastin'. Let's go show these aliens what a Death Worlder can do." As the door hissed shut behind them, Glint let out a long, warbling sigh that sounded suspiciously like a prayer. The arena was, well, arena-like. Max wasn't sure what he had been expecting. Maybe something a bit more Star Wars with exotic alien spectators and flashy holographic displays. Instead, it looked like someone had taken the Colosseum, given it a fresh coat of paint, and then decided to relocate the whole thing to the belly of a giant spaceship. "Huh," Max said, peering around at the stands filled with a colorful assortment of alien species. "Kinda underwhelming, if I'm being honest. You'd think with all this advanced tech, you guys could jazz it up a bit. Maybe add some laser lights or something." Glint, who had been following Max with an air of resigned dread, made a sound that might have been a snort if it had a nose. "The galactic arena has remained unchanged for millennia, Max. It is a symbol of our shared history and—" "Boring," Max interrupted, rolling his shoulders and cracking his neck. "So who am I fighting? Some big scary alien with tentacles and acid spit?" As if on cue, a massive door on the opposite side of the arena ground open with a thunderous groan. Max squinted, trying to make out the shape emerging from the shadows. "Oh," he said, his voice a mixture of surprise and barely contained laughter. "That's not what I was expecting." The creature that lumbered into the arena looked like what you'd get if you crossed a rhinoceros with a bulldozer and then decided to give the whole thing anger management issues. It was easily 3 times Max's size, with thick, armored plates covering most of its body, and a cluster of wickedly sharp horns protruding from its head. "That," Glint said, its voice quivering slightly, "is a Kroxthar berserker. It is one of the most feared combatants in the galaxy. Max, I must insist that you reconsider this foolish—" But Max wasn't listening. He was too busy doubled over with laughter, tears streaming down his face. "Oh man," he wheezed, struggling to catch his breath. "Oh man, this is gonna be hilarious." Glint's skin cycled through a rainbow of worried colors. "Max, please. The Kroxthar is no laughing matter. It has ended the lives of countless warriors from across the galaxy. Your species may be resilient, but even a Death Worlder cannot hope to." Max straightened up, wiping tears from his eyes. "Glint, my iridescent friend, you're missing the point entirely. This isn't about winning or losing. This is about sending a message." And with that cryptic statement, Max strode confidently toward the center of the arena, still chuckling to himself. Glint watched him go, all of its eyes wide with a mixture of horror and morbid fascination. As Max reached the middle of the dusty arena floor, he locked eyes, or what he assumed were eyes, with the Kroxthar berserker. The massive creature pawed at the ground, snorting clouds of steam from its nostrils. "Hey there, big guy," Max called out, his voice echoing around the suddenly silent arena. "You ready for a bit of fun?" The Kroxthar responded with a roar that shook the very foundations of the arena. Alien spectators cowered in their seats, some covering their auditory organs, others watching with a mixture of terror and anticipation. Max, however, just grinned wider. "I'll take that as a yes." Without warning, the Kroxthar charged, its massive form barreling towards Max with the unstoppable force of a runaway freight train. The ground trembled beneath its feet, and a cloud of dust billowed in its wake. Max stood his ground, still grinning like a madman. At the last possible second, just as it seemed the Kroxthar would flatten him into a human pancake, he sidestepped with a grace that seemed impossible for a species from a high-gravity world. The Kroxthar, unable to stop its momentum, thundered past Max and slammed headfirst into the arena wall. The impact sent tremors through the entire structure, and more than a few alien spectators lost their balance and tumbled from their seats. "Oh," Max shouted, turning to face the dazed Kroxthar with a flourish. "Come on, big guy. Is that all you've got? I've seen drunken rhinos with better aim." The Kroxthar shook its massive head, clearly disoriented from the impact. It turned to face Max again, pawing at the ground and snorting angrily. "That's it," Max said, beckoning to the creature with both hands. "Come to Papa. Let's dance, you overgrown garbage disposal." The Kroxthar charged again, this time with even more fury. Max waited until the last moment before diving between the creature's legs, rolling to his feet on the other side. "Missed me, missed me," he sang out, slapping his own behind in a universally offensive gesture. "Now you gotta kiss me." The alien spectators watched in stunned silence as this bizarre dance continued. The human, so small and fragile-looking compared to the Kroxthar, seemed to be toying with the massive beast. He ducked, weaved, and rolled, always staying just out of reach of those deadly horns and massive, stomping feet. And through it all, Max kept up a steady stream of taunts and jokes, punctuated by bursts of laughter that echoed around the arena. "Come on, you walking tank. My grandma moves faster than you, and she's been dead for a decade. Whoa, easy there, big fella. You almost grazed my hair that time. Do you know how much product I use to keep this look? Is this really the best you've got? I've had more challenging fights with my alarm clock in the morning." As the fight dragged on, the mood in the arena began to shift. What had started as terror and anticipation slowly morphed into confusion, then disbelief, and finally amusement. Here and there, alien spectators began to chuckle. The chuckles grew into laughs, and soon the entire arena was filled with the sounds of extraterrestrial mirth. Species that had been sworn enemies for millennia found themselves sharing in the absurdity of the moment, united in their bewilderment at this strange human and his unorthodox approach to gladiatorial combat. Even Glint, still watching from the sidelines with all of its eyes, found its iridescent skin shifting to shades of mirth. The Crocstar, meanwhile, was growing increasingly frustrated. Each failed charge left it more winded and disoriented. Its movements became sluggish, its reactions slower. Max, on the other hand, looked like he was having the time of his life. He was covered in sweat and dust, but his grin hadn't faltered for a moment. "All right, big guy," he said, patting the Crocstar on its armored flank as it stumbled past him. "I think you've had enough. Why don't we call it a day, huh?" The Crocstar, exhausted and humiliated, let out a pitiful moan and collapsed to the ground with an earth-shaking thud. Max stood over the fallen beast, hands on his hips, still chuckling. He turned to face the alien spectators who had fallen into a stunned silence. "Well," he called out, spreading his arms wide, "are you not entertained?" For a moment there was nothing but shocked silence. Then, as if a dam had burst, the arena erupted into a cacophony of alien cheers, whistles, and whatever passed for applause among the various species present. Max took a theatrical bow, blowing kisses to the crowd. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Try the veal." As the cheers continued to wash over him, Max made his way back to where Glint stood, its iridescent skin cycling through colors faster than a malfunctioning disco ball. "So," Max said, clapping the alien on what he hoped was its shoulder. "How'd I do? Did I pass your little test?" Glint's many eyes blinked rapidly as if trying to process what it had just witnessed. When it finally spoke, its melodious voice was tinged with a mixture of awe and exasperation. "Max," it said, "I believe you have just rewritten the entire concept of gladiatorial combat for the Galactic Council." Max grinned, running a hand through his sweat-soaked hair. "Nah, I was just warming up. That was barely even a workout. Now who's up for round 2? Glint's skin turned a deep, worried purple once again. Round 2. Max's laughter echoed through the arena once more, drowning out Glint's protests and the continued cheers of the alien spectators. As he strode back towards the center of the arena, cracking his knuckles and looking around for his next opponent, one thing became abundantly clear to every being present. The galaxy was not ready for humans. Word of Max's unorthodox performance in the galactic arena spread faster than a quantum-entangled gossip network, which coincidentally was exactly how most alien species shared news across the cosmos. Within solar cycles, every sentient being from the core worlds to the farthest reaches of wild space had heard about the strange Death Worlder who had turned a gladiatorial duel into a comedy routine. The reaction, to put it mildly, was mixed. Some species, particularly those with a more rigid view of combat and honor, were outraged. The Vexcar Imperium, a race of silicon-based life forms known for their strict adherence to tradition, filed a formal protest with the Galactic Council, demanding that humans be barred from all future arena events for making a mockery of sacred combat rituals. Others, however, were intrigued. The Zorp Collective, a hive mind species with a particular fondness for novel experiences, sent a delegation to Earth requesting a cultural exchange program focused on the art of humorous physical confrontation. But perhaps the most surprising reaction came from the Crocstar themselves. The species long known for their berserker rages and unquenchable thirst for battle found themselves in the throes of an existential crisis. If combat could be turned into entertainment, what did that mean for their entire way of life? Reports began to trickle in of Crocstar warriors attempting to incorporate jokes into their battle cries with mixed results. Your mother was a hamster, and I shall now proceed to smash you with extreme prejudice. Didn't quite have the same ring to it. Meanwhile, back on the Galactic Council's capital world, Max found himself at the center of a political and cultural firestorm. He had been summoned to appear before the Council itself. A honor, or, depending on your perspective, a punishment usually reserved for heads of state or beings who had committed crimes on an interstellar scale. As Max stood before the assembled council members, each more alien and imposing than the last, he couldn't help but feel a twinge of nervousness. This was a far cry from the dusty arena where he had faced down the Crocstar. Here in this grand chamber with its soaring ceilings and incomprehensible alien technology, he felt very small indeed. But old habits die hard, and Max's default response to stress had always been humor. "So," he said, his voice echoing in the cavernous space, "is this the part where you guys probe me? Because I gotta tell you, I'm not that kind of girl. At least buy me dinner first." A ripple of something that might have been laughter or possibly indigestion passed through the assembled aliens. The council leader, a being that looked like a cross between a giant squid and a chandelier, raised one of its many tentacles for silence. "Max," it intoned, its voice a deep, resonant boom that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "You stand before us today to answer for your actions in the galactic arena. How do you plead?" Max blinked, looking around in confusion. Guilty of being awesome. Is that an option?" More ripples of not quite laughter. The council leader's bioluminescent patches pulsed in what Max hoped was amusement, rather than murderous rage. "You misunderstand, Max," the leader continued. "We are not here to punish you. We are here to understand." Max raised an eyebrow. "Understand what, exactly? How to do a proper pratfall? Because I gotta tell you, that takes years of practice and at least one childhood injury." The council leader's tentacles waved in a complex pattern that Max couldn't begin to decipher. "We wish to understand how a species from a death world, a planet so harsh that it should have produced only the most savage and serious of warriors, could produce a being capable of turning mortal combat into entertainment." Max scratched his head, considering the question. "Well, you see, it's like this. On Earth we have this saying, laugh and the world laughs with you. Cry and you cry alone. We humans, we've been through some serious shit. Our planet's tried to kill us more times than I can count. We've faced everything from ice ages to supervolcanoes to our own stupid selves trying to blow each other up. And you know what we did?" He paused for dramatic effect, looking around at the assembled aliens. "We laughed. We made jokes. We turned our darkest moments into memes and our greatest fears into stand-up routines. It's not because we're not taking things seriously. It's because we're taking them so damn seriously that if we didn't laugh, we'd lose our minds." The council chamber fell silent as the aliens processed this information. Max could almost hear the gears turning in their various alien brains, or whatever passed for brains in some of these species. Finally, the council leader spoke again. "But surely, Max, there must be times when laughter is inappropriate. when the gravity of a situation demands solemnity and respect. Max nodded, his expression growing serious for a moment. Of course, we're not monsters, you know. We understand the concept of time and place. But here's the thing. That arena, that wasn't a funeral. It wasn't a peace treaty signing. It was a giant alien rhino trying to turn me into a human pancake for the entertainment of a bunch of beings who think we're too squishy to join their cool kids club. If that's not a time for a little gallows humor, I don't know what is. He grinned, spreading his arms wide. Besides, did you see how confused that poor Crocstar got? I'm telling you, laughter is the ultimate weapon. It saved our species more times than I can count. Why do you think we humans are so obsessed with making first contact? It's not just scientific curiosity. We're hoping to find someone out there who gets our jokes. A low murmur ran through the council chamber. Max couldn't tell if it was approval, confusion, or just the sound of several hundred alien digestive systems trying to process this new information. The council leader's tentacles twisted in what Max was beginning to recognize as a gesture of deep thought. You present a unique perspective, Max. But tell us, how does this approach serve you in times of true danger? Surely, when faced with the imminent threat of death, even humans must set aside their levity. Some Max couldn't help but laugh at that. Oh man, you guys really don't get it, do you? It's especially in those moments that we lean into the humor. Let me tell you a story. Back on Earth, there was this guy named Hiru Onoda. He was a Japanese soldier during World War II who got stranded on an island in the Philippines. He didn't know the war had ended, so he kept on fighting for 29 years. The aliens stirred, clearly impressed by such dedication. Max held up a hand. Now you'd think that's a pretty serious situation, right? Alone on an island, thinking you're the last line of defense for your country. But you know what Onoda did when they finally found him and told him the war was over. He said, and I quote, "Well, that's fine. But what about the other war?" Max grinned at the memory. See, that's humanity in a nutshell. We can be facing certain death, the end of everything we know, and we'll still find a way to crack a joke. It's not because we're not taking it seriously. It's because we're taking it so seriously that humor is the only thing keeping us sane. The council chamber erupted into a cacophony of alien voices, each species trying to process this information in their own way. Some seemed intrigued, others horrified, and a few looked like they were experiencing the alien equivalent of a blue screen of death. Max stood there, hands in his pockets, watching the chaos with an amused smile. He caught Glint's eye, or one of its many eyes, from where the iridescent alien stood at the edge of the chamber. Glint's skin was cycling through colors faster than ever, but Max could swear he saw a hint of amusement in those multifaceted orbs. Finally, the council leader raised its tentacles for silence. The chamber gradually quieted, all eyes, or various sensory organs, turning back to the imposing alien. "Max," the leader intoned, its voice somehow both amused and gravely serious. "You have given us much to consider. Your species' approach to adversity is unorthodox, to say the least, but we cannot deny its effectiveness." Max grinned, giving the alien leader a thumbs up. "Thanks, Squidward. I aim to please." The leader's bioluminescent patches pulsed rapidly, and Max wondered if he'd just committed some sort of interstellar faux pas. But when the alien spoke again, there was a definite note of amusement in its resonant voice. "Indeed. After much deliberation, the Galactic Council has reached a decision regarding humanity's place in the greater cosmic community." Max straightened up, trying and largely failing to look appropriately serious. "Lay it on me, boss. What's the verdict?" The leader's tentacles waved in a complex pattern that Max imagined was the alien equivalent of a drum roll. Humanity will be granted probationary membership in the Galactic Council, effective immediately. A cheer went up from the human delegation seated in the gallery. Max pumped his fists in the air, letting out a whoop of victory. "Hell yeah! Earth represent!" the leader continued, its voice cutting through the celebration. "However, there will be conditions. First and foremost, humanity will be required to establish a new division within the Galactic Peacekeeping Forces. This division will be tasked with diffusing tense situations through non-traditional means." Max's eyebrows shot up. "Wait, are you saying what I think you're saying? You want us to create an intergalactic comedy troupe?" The leader's bioluminescent patches pulsed in what Max was pretty sure was the alien version of a smirk. "Not precisely, Max, but we believe that your species' unique approach to conflict resolution could prove invaluable in maintaining peace throughout the galaxy." Max couldn't help but laugh. "So what you're saying is you want us to go around the galaxy cracking jokes and doing pratfalls to keep everyone from killing each other? That's actually kind of awesome." The leader's tentacles waved in what Max hoped was agreement. "Indeed, we believe that introducing an element of levity to interstellar diplomacy may lead to more positive outcomes. Your performance session in the arena has shown us that there is power in laughter, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds." Max grinned, already imagining the possibilities. "Oh man, this is going to be great. We'll call it the Intergalactic Chuckle Brigade. No, wait, the Cosmic Comedy Corps. We'll have t-shirts and everything." The leader's bioluminescent patches pulsed rapidly. "We will leave the organizational details to you, Max, but know this. The galaxy will be watching. The success or failure of this initiative may well determine the future of human-alien relations." Max nodded, suddenly feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. But true to form, he didn't let it show. Instead, he gave the council leader a jaunty salute. "Don't worry, Squidward. We won't let you down. Humanity's got this. After all, we've been practicing for this our whole existence." As the council chamber erupted into a mixture of cheers, confused murmurs, and what sounded suspiciously like alien laughter, Max couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge yet, and they had overcome it not with brute force or advanced technology, but with their most potent weapon, their sense of humor. The galaxy would never be the same again, and if Max had anything to say about it, it was about to become a much funnier place. Epilogue. 1 galactic year later. The Zorp collective hive mind was in crisis. Their latest attempt to assimilate a neighboring species had gone horribly wrong, and now they found themselves on the brink of all-out war. The Galactic Council, in its infinite wisdom, had decided to send in their newest peacekeeping force, the Human Diplomatic Corps, colloquially known as the Laugh Battalion. As the human ship entered orbit around the Zorp home world, Max couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. Here he was, once again facing down an alien threat, but this time, instead of a gladiatorial arena, his battlefield was the complex web of interstellar diplomacy. And his weapons? An arsenal of jokes, puns, and physical comedy routines that would make Charlie Chaplin proud. "All right, team," he said, addressing the motley crew of human comedians, improvisers, and professional goofballs that made up the squad. "Remember the mission. We're not here to mock or belittle. We're here to show these aliens that sometimes the best way to deal with a problem is to step back and have a good laugh about it." As they prepared to teleport down to the planet's surface, Max couldn't help but crack a smile. Who would have thought that humanity's ticket to the stars would be its ability to find humor in even the darkest situations? But then again, maybe it made perfect sense. After all, in a universe full of wonders and terrors beyond imagination, sometimes the only sane response was to laugh. As the teleporter hummed to life, Max adjusted his official Cosmic Comedy Corps hat. Yes, they did end up making t-shirts and hats. And grinned. All right, folks, let's go spread some intergalactic cheer. Remember, we're not just comedians, we're diplomats. Really, really funny diplomats. With a flash of light and the faint sound of a rim shot, Max had insisted on installing a sound effect in the teleporter. The human team vanished, ready to face their next challenge with a joke and a smile. The galaxy would never know what hit it, but one thing was for sure. It was about to get a whole lot funnier.